If they come for you, I'll burn this city down.
Imani and Siho on his rooftop, Miami skyline glowing behind them. He's standing close behind her, hands steady on her waist as he teaches her to shoot at targets. She turns, gun still raised between them, their faces inches apart, breathing synchronized. If they come for you, I'll burn this city down, he whispers against her lips. She lowers the gun slowly, kisses him with desperate intensity. Their dangerous beginning, the lies unraveling, the heat consuming them both as Miami's underworld closes in. Lovies, we cannot believe we've hit over 1,000 subscribers. Your support, your love, even your criticism has shaped Afro-Seoul TV into what it is today. Thank you for believing in us, for trusting us to bring you stories that matter. Between two worlds, beyond all borders, we promise to only serve you tearjerkers, heartbreakers, and game changers. Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from so we can see how far this story travels. Are you in Miami, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, Houston, or somewhere we haven't even imagined yet? Let's get into this roller coaster. The Miami private auction house buzzed with the kind of energy only serious money could generate. Imani Oforiwa stood near the display area, emerald silk dress hugging curves that turned heads, though she barely noticed. Her focus was locked on the 1967 Shelby GT 500 gleaming under carefully positioned lights. Her client, Gerald Hutchins, a hedge fund manager from Boston, stood beside her, practically vibrating with anticipation. Imani had spent 3 weeks authenticating this vehicle, verifying provenance, preparing him for this exact moment. Stay calm, she told him quietly, her Ghanaian-American accent carrying smooth authority. Don't go above 650,000. The market won't support more than that. Gerald nodded, already sweating. Imani had brokered deals worth tens of millions before turning 30. A Shelby was nothing. The auctioneer's voice rang out. Lot 47, the 1967 Shelby GT 500, fully restored, original engine, documented provenance, opening bid at $400,000. Imani raised Gerald's paddle. $450,000. Several competing bids came in. $500,000. $525,000. Imani countered each smoothly, watching competition thin as the price climbed. Then a voice like smoke in expensive whiskey cut through the room. $700,000. Every head turned. Imani's did too. Siho walked through the auction house like he owned it, and from the way people moved aside, he might as well have. Tall, easily 6 feet of controlled power in a perfectly tailored black suit. But it wasn't the clothes that made people stare. It was everything else. Sharp features carved from stone, devastatingly handsome in a way that felt unfair. Dark hair styled back with careless precision, tattoos peeking from beneath his collar and wrapping around his wrists, intricate designs both beautiful and threatening. His eyes found hers across the room. Dark, intense, fixed entirely on her. Not the car, her. Gerald grabbed her arm. Imani, that's already over what we discussed. Something about the way this stranger watched her, like he just made a move in a game only they understood, made her competitive edge flare hot. 750,000, she called out. The corner of Siho's mouth lifted, not quite a smile, something more dangerous. $1 million. The room went silent. Even the auctioneer paused, glancing between them. Gerald's face went pale. Imani, I can't possibly. Going once, the auctioneer began. She met Siho's gaze across the room and saw the challenge there, the absolute certainty he'd already won. Going twice. Let him have it, Imani told Gerald quietly. Sold to bidder 17 for $1 million. Siho didn't glance at the car as he signed paperwork. His attention stayed locked on Imani. When he started walking toward her with deliberate steps, every instinct screamed danger. She stood her ground anyway. He stopped close. Close enough she could smell his cologne, something dark and cedar lace that probably cost more than her rent. You just cost my client a very important acquisition, Imani said sharply. Your client couldn't afford it, Siho replied, his English flawless but accented. Neither could you. Excuse me? I don't mean the money. His gaze traveled over her face with unsettling focus. I mean, you're wasting your talent brokering toys for men who don't appreciate what you're worth. Imani laughed, disbelief sharp in the sound. And you know what I'm worth based on what? Watching me lose a bid? Based on 6 months of watching you work, he said calmly. Her smile died. What? 6 months. Imani Oforewa. He pulled a business card from his jacket. I've been watching your career very carefully. You're the best luxury broker in Miami, possibly the entire Eastern Seaboard. You speak 4 languages, close impossible deals. Never settle for less than you deserve. He extended the card. Come work for me instead. I'll double whatever commission you're making now. She stared at the card but didn't take it. You overpaid by $300,000 just to offer me a job? I overpaid $300,000 to guarantee your undivided attention, he corrected. The job offer is because you're exactly what I need for Crescent Equity Holdings. I don't know you, I don't know your company, and I don't appreciate being stalked for 6 months. Research, not stalking, Siho said, almost amused, which is why I'm proposing something simple. 1 consultation. Let me show you what I'm offering, answer your questions. If you're not interested after, I'll never contact you again. And if I say no right now, then you'd be lying to both of us. His voice dropped lower, intimate. You're curious. I can see it. The arrogance should have infuriated her. Instead, it sparked something competitive and electric in her chest. 1 consultation, she heard herself say. My penthouse, tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. He pressed the card into her palm, fingers brushing hers. The contact sent a jolt through her. Don't be late. He walked away before she could respond. 24 hours later, Imani stood outside Miami's most expensive residential tower, staring at the card in her hand. Siho, CEO, Crescent Equity Holdings, penthouse 4501. Just a dare wrapped in expensive cardstock. She went inside anyway. The elevator opened directly into his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Miami in every direction, the city sprawling beneath them like scattered jewels. Minimalist furniture, clean lines, everything screaming wealth and control. Siho stood by the windows, backlit by sunset. He discarded his jacket, rolled his sleeves to his elbows, revealing more of those intricate tattoos covering his forearms. You came, he said, turning. I'm curious, Imani admitted, stepping inside. Not convinced. I'll take curious. He gestured to a sleek couch. Can I get you something? Water's fine. He poured sparkling water from a crystal decanter, handed it to her, then sat across from her with deliberate distance between them. Tell me about Crescent Equity Holdings, Imani said. We broker high-value acquisitions, Siho began. Art, luxury vehicles, estates, anything with significant cultural or monetary worth. Our clients are private collectors, institutions, sometimes governments. They value discretion and results. We provide both. Discretion usually means legally questionable. Discretion means private, he corrected. My clients don't want publicity, they want efficiency. You'd handle client relations, deal negotiations, authentication verification. Your commission would be 20% of every closed transaction. Imani's eyebrows rose. 20% is unheard of. So is your success rate. He leaned forward slightly. I've studied your work for months, Imani. You have connections most brokers spend decades building. You understand value, both monetary and cultural. And you have integrity. You won't close deals you don't believe in. You got all that from watching me? I got that from watching you walk away from a $2 million commission last year because the provenance didn't check out. His eyes held hers. Most people would have looked the other way. You didn't. She hadn't expected him to know about that. Hadn't expected this level of research. Why do you really want me? She asked quietly. Siho was silent for a long moment. Because I'm tired of being surrounded by people who only see opportunity when they look at me. You looked at me in that auction house and saw a complication. That's refreshing. You're still a complication. I know. His smile turned sad. But I'm a complication who can offer you something real. Financial independence, professional respect, freedom to build something that's actually yours. Imani studied him. This beautiful, dangerous man offering her everything she'd worked toward, wrapped in a package screaming trouble. "One job," she said finally. "A trial run. If I don't like how you operate, I walk. No hard feelings." "Deal." Siho stood, extended his hand. She stood, took it. His grip was firm, warm, lasting a beat longer than professional. His thumb brushed across her knuckles in a way that felt entirely too intimate. "There's one more thing," he said, not releasing her hand. "I didn't just need a good broker. I needed you specifically." Warning bells chimed. "Why?" "Because you have access to certain clients, people who trust you in ways they wouldn't trust anyone else." His expression turned serious. "There's someone I need to reach. Someone important. You're the only person who can make that introduction happen." The warning bells got louder. "Who?" "Let me take you to dinner tomorrow night," Siho said, releasing her hand. "Celebrate our new partnership properly. I'll explain everything then." Every instinct told her to say no, to walk away from this man and his secrets. "Dinner," she agreed. "Somewhere public, and you tell me everything." "Everything I can," he promised. 2 nights later, they sat across from each other at Sea Spice, an upscale waterfront restaurant where Miami's elite came to sit and be seen. Sunset painted Biscayne Bay golden pink. It should have been romantic. It felt like the calm before a storm. Imani sipped wine and watched Siho's hands as he cut into Chilean sea bass. The tattoos on his fingers moved with each precise motion. "Tell me about your clients," she said. "Collectors mostly," Siho replied. "People who want pieces with history, with meaning. Sometimes we help governments repatriate stolen artifacts. Sometimes we help families recover heirlooms lost during wars or regime changes." "That sounds almost noble." "It can be." His eyes met hers. "It can also be complicated. The line between recovery and theft is thinner than most people want to acknowledge." "And which side of that line do you operate on?" "Whichever side serves my client's interests." He set down his fork. "You think that makes me mercenary?" "I think that makes you honest," Imani said. "Most people in this business pretend they're doing good while serving themselves. At least you're transparent about the gray areas." Something flickered in his expression. Respect, maybe. "Now tell me about this client you need me to access," she continued. "The real reason you wanted me." Before Siho could answer, the sound of shattering glass exploded from the parking lot. Then screaming. Then gunfire. Siho moved faster than she thought possible. 1 second sitting across from her, the next his arm was around her waist, pulling her down beneath the table as chaos erupted. His body covered hers, protective and solid, one hand cradling her head, while his other reached behind his back. He pulled out a gun. "Stay down," he ordered, voice completely calm despite the panic. "What's happening?" "Something I need to handle." He pulled out his phone, typed one-handed with practiced efficiency. "Do you trust me? I barely know you." "That's not what I asked, Imani." Even through the terror, even with gunfire outside and people screaming, she felt it. The pull between them, the heat, the undeniable current building since their eyes first met. "Yes," she whispered. "I trust you." Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. Then he was moving, pulling her up and guiding her through the panicking crowd toward the kitchen exit, arm locked around her waist. Outside was chaos. Siho's driver lay on the pavement near the black Mercedes, blood spreading from a shoulder wound. Siho knelt beside him, checking the injury with calm efficiency. "You'll live, Daehyun," he said steadily. "Ambulance is 4 minutes out." "I'm sorry, sir," the driver gasped. "I didn't see them coming." "Not your fault." Within minutes, black SUVs appeared. Men in dark suits moved with military precision, loading the wounded driver into one vehicle. The scene was cleaned with disturbing efficiency, witnesses dispersed with quiet words and cash. By the time police sirens wailed in the distance, there was almost nothing left to investigate. Imani watched it all, mind racing, trying to process the organization, the control, the way everyone responded to Siho's quiet commands without question. When he finally turned back to her, his expression was unreadable. I need to get you somewhere safe. You need to tell me what the hell just happened. He studied her for a long moment. Get in the car. I'll explain everything. They drove in tense silence back to his penthouse. Inside, Siho poured whiskey into 2 glasses, pressed one into her trembling hands, then moved to stand by the windows overlooking the glittering skyline. Crescent Equity Holdings is legitimate, he began back to her, but the world I operate in isn't always clean. I broker deals in gray areas. I facilitate transactions for people who can't use traditional channels. Art with disputed ownership, vehicles with complicated histories, estates seized by governments that maybe shouldn't have been. I move things that powerful people want moved. You're a criminal, Imani said flatly. I'm a businessman who understands that laws are written by people with agendas, he corrected, turning to face her. Everything I do, someone else decided, should be illegal to protect their own interests. I just level the playing field for people who can afford my services. By getting your driver shot, pain flickered across his features. That wasn't about business. That was personal. Personal how? Siho was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. I have a brother. Minsok. We built this empire together after our parents died in Seoul. Came to Miami with nothing, created everything you see now. But lately he's wanted to expand into territory I won't touch. Things that actually destroy lives. We've been at war over it for months. And tonight, his jaw tightened. Tonight wasn't random. My brother just declared war on me. And being seen with me tonight put you directly in his crosshairs. Imani's phone buzzed in her purse. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and her breath caught. Damilare Ogundil. She hadn't heard from him in 3 years, not since she'd ended their engagement and left Nigeria, left everything they'd planned together behind. Who is it? Siho asked, watching her face. Someone from my past, she said quietly, staring at the name on her screen. Someone I never expected to hear from again. The phone kept buzzing in her hand. Damilare's name glowing insistent and impossible. Her ex-fiancé was back, and somehow he'd found her in Miami. Imani stared at her phone, Damilare's name still glowing on the screen. She should answer. Should find out why her ex-fiancé was calling after 3 years of silence. But was Siho watching her from across his penthouse, with the revelation that his brother had just declared war still ringing in her ears? She couldn't bring herself to press accept. The call went to voicemail. You should have answered, Siho said quietly. I don't owe him anything. Imani slipped her phone back into her purse. I need to go home. I'll have my driver take you. I can get myself home. Siho's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Be careful, Imani, and lock your doors tonight. She left without looking back. Her apartment felt too quiet when she finally got home, the silence pressing in on her from all sides. She changed into dry clothes, poured herself wine she didn't drink, and tried to make sense of a night that had gone from a simple dinner to gunfire to revelations about criminal empires and brothers at war. Her phone buzzed. Another call from Damilare. She ignored it. Then a text. I'm in Miami. I know you're in danger. Please, Imani, let me help you. She stared at the message. How did he know she was in danger? How did he even know she was in Miami? Before she could respond, someone knocked on her door. Imani froze. It was past midnight. Nobody just showed up at her apartment past midnight. Another knock, harder this time. She looked through the peephole and her breath caught. Siho stood in the hallway, soaking wet from rain she hadn't even realized had started. His hair was plastered to his face, his expensive suit ruined, and he looked utterly wrecked. She opened the door. What are you doing here? I couldn't stay away. His voice was rough, raw. I tried, got in my car, told myself to let you go home, let you process everything, give you space. But I can't, Imani. I can't stay away from you even when I know I should. Rain dripped onto her floor. He didn't seem to notice. You're going to catch pneumonia, she said quietly. I don't care. He stepped closer, and she could see it now, the vulnerability beneath all that control. Tell me to leave. Tell me you don't want this, don't want me, and I'll walk away right now. But if you don't say it, if there's even a chance you feel what I feel, then I need you to know something. What? I've never wanted anything the way I want you. Not money, not power, not safety. Just you. His eyes held hers with devastating intensity. And it terrifies me because wanting something this much means you can lose it, means it can be taken away. And I don't know how to protect you from my world while keeping you in it. Imani's heart pounded. She should close the door, should tell him to leave, to take his danger and his war and his criminal empire somewhere far away from her carefully built life. Instead, she reached up, pulled him down, and kissed him. The kiss was explosive, desperate. 3 weeks of tension and denial, and fighting an attraction that had been inevitable from the moment their eyes met across that auction house. Siho's hands tangled in her hair, hers fisted in his wet shirt, and neither of them cared about the rain or the danger or anything except this moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Siho rested his forehead against hers. "Let me in," he whispered. "Please." She stepped back, let him inside, closed the door on the rest of the world. They stood in her small living room, the contrast almost absurd. Him in his designer suit, her in pajamas, his world of penthouses and criminal empires, hers of carefully budgeted rent and legitimate deals. "I need you to understand something," Siho said, not touching her now, like he was afraid if he did, he'd lose control completely. "Getting close to me puts you in real danger. My brother won't hesitate to use you against me. And once he knows you matter, once he sees what you are to me, he'll come for you. Then maybe you should leave." "I should." His eyes held hers. "But I won't. Not unless you tell me to." "Why me, Siho? Why risk everything for someone you barely know?" "Because you see me. Not my money, not my power, not what I can do for you. You see me, and you're still standing here instead of running." He moved closer. "And because when I look at you, I see a future I never thought I could have. Something real. Something worth fighting for." Before Imani could respond, her phone rang. Damilar again. "Answer it," Siho said. "He won't stop calling until you do." This time she did. "Damilar, what do you want?" "I'm downstairs, Imani. I need to talk to you. It's urgent." "How did you even know where I live?" "I'll explain everything. Please, 5 minutes." She looked at Siho, who nodded. "Fine, 5 minutes." Damilar looked exactly as she remembered when she opened the door to find him standing beside Siho in her living room. Handsome, polished, safe. Everything Siho wasn't. "Imani!" Damilar's eyes went to Siho, then back to her. "We need to talk, alone." "Anything you need to say, you can say in front of him," she said. "Fine." Damilar pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. A crime scene. A body. "This is Taehyung Lim. He was Siho's business partner. He was found dead in his penthouse 4 weeks ago. Single gunshot to the head." Imani's stomach dropped. She looked at Siho, who'd gone very still. "What does this have to do with anything?" she asked. "Everything." Damilar's voice hardened. "Because Taehyung was about to turn state's evidence against Siho and his brother. He was going to testify that Crescent Equity Holdings is a front for money laundering. And then he ended up dead the night before he was supposed to meet with federal prosecutors." The room felt too small suddenly. Too hot. "You're saying Siho killed him?" "I'm saying someone did, and the timing is extremely convenient." Damilar looked at Siho. "Tell her the truth. Tell her what you really are." "He already has," Imani said, but her voice shook. "Siho, did you kill Taehyung?" Siho's expression was unreadable. "No." "But you know who did?" "Yes." "Your brother?" "Yes." He turned to Damilar. "And you know I didn't do it, because if you had any real evidence, you'd have arrested me already instead of showing up here trying to scare her away from me." Damilar's silence confirmed it. "Who are you?" Imani asked him. "Really?" "FBI informant," Damilar said quietly. "I've been working with them for 18 months to build a case against the Beck brothers. When I heard you were getting involved with Siho, I came to Miami to warn you. You're using me, Imani said, the realization hitting like ice water. You're hoping I'll get close to Siho, gather evidence for you. I'm trying to keep you alive, Betrayal corrected. Imani, everyone who gets close to these men ends up dead or destroyed. Taehyung tried to leave and look what happened. If you stay with Siho, you'll end up the same way. Get out, she said quietly. Imani, get out of my apartment now. Betrayal looked at her for a long moment, then at Siho. You're making a mistake, both of you. He left. The door clicked shut behind him. Imani turned to Siho. Did you know that your partner was going to testify against you? No. Taehyung and I were friends, brothers. We built everything together. Siho's voice was rough with something that sounded like grief. He came to me 3 months ago, said he wanted out, wanted to go legitimate. I told him I'd help him, that we'd figure it out together. What happened? Min Seok found out, saw it as betrayal. Siho's hands curled into fists. I didn't know he was planning to kill Taehyung, didn't know until I found his body myself, and by then it was too late. Why should I believe you? Because I'm telling you the truth. I crossed to her, stopped just close enough that she could feel the heat of him. I've done terrible things, Imani. I've hurt people, broken laws, operated in worlds you can't imagine. But I didn't kill my best friend, and I won't let my brother destroy everything Taehyung wanted. Which is what? A legitimate life, a real future, something clean. His eyes held hers. That's why I need you. Not just because you're brilliant at what you do, but because you represent everything I'm trying to build, everything I'm trying to become. Imani studied his face, looking for lies, for manipulation. She found only raw honesty and something that looked like desperation. I'm scared, she admitted. You should be. This is dangerous. I'm dangerous. He reached up, cupped her face with gentle hands. But I swear to you, I will do everything in my power to keep you safe, even if that means staying away from you. What if I don't want you to stay away? Then you're braver than I deserve. She kissed him, softer this time but no less intense, and when he lifted her, carried her to her bedroom, when his hands mapped every curve of her body with reverent desperation, she let herself stop thinking about danger and consequences and just feel. Later, wrapped in her sheets, she traced the scars on his chest. Bullet wounds, knife wounds, the evidence of a life lived in violence. Tell me about these, she said quietly. So he did. Every scar had a story. Every mark was a memory. Some from his brother. Some from enemies. Some from mistakes that had nearly cost him everything. This one, she said, touching a particularly brutal scar across his ribs. This is from Min Seok. 3 years ago, we disagreed about territory. He made his point with a knife. And you stayed in business with him? He's my brother. I thought I could change him. Thought if I just gave him time, showed him there was another way. Siho's voice trailed off. I was wrong. Imani pressed a kiss to the scar. Felt him suck in a sharp breath. What are you doing, he asked. Choosing you, with my eyes open, knowing exactly who you are and what you've done. You're insane. Probably. She looked up at him. But I'm also yours if you want me. His answer was to kiss her again, deeper this time until they were both breathless and tangled together and the rest of the world ceased to exist. It was nearly dawn when Imani heard it. The elevator in her building, the ding of arrival, footsteps in the hallway. Siho was already moving, pulling on his pants, reaching for the gun he'd left on her nightstand. Stay here, he ordered. But Imani was already grabbing his shirt, following him to the living room. Someone knocked, 3 sharp raps. Siho looked through the peephole and his entire body went rigid. Who is it? Imani whispered. He didn't answer, just opened the door. A woman stood in the hallway, stunning. Korean, late 20s, designer clothes, perfect makeup, the kind of beauty that looked almost artificial in its perfection. Her eyes went to Siho, then to Imani in his shirt, and something cold and calculating crossed her features. Hello, Siho, she said in perfect English. I see you've been busy since Seoul. Yuna, Siho's voice was ice. What are you doing here? I came to give you news. She stepped inside without invitation, her gaze raking over Imani with obvious disdain. Important news that changes everything between us. There is no us. There hasn't been for 2 years. There is now. Yuna placed a hand on her flat stomach, smiled. I'm pregnant, Siho, and the baby is yours. The world stopped. Imani felt like someone had punched her in the chest. She looked at Siho, saw shock, confusion, and something that might have been horror cross his face. That's impossible, he said. Is it? Seoul, 4 months ago, a business conference you attended. That night at the hotel bar when you got drunk and I helped you back to your room? Yuna's smile turned sharp. You don't remember, do you? You were quite intoxicated. Siho's face had gone pale. I wouldn't. But you did. Yuna turned to Imani. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. But Siho and I have history. Real history. And now we have a future together too. Imani couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She looked at Siho, waiting for him to deny it, to say something that would make this make sense. But he just stood there, staring at Yuna like she'd delivered a death sentence. I need to go, Imani heard herself say. Imani, wait! Siho reached for her. She stepped back. Don't. Just don't. She grabbed her clothes, dressed with shaking hands while Yuna watched with that cold smile, and Siho stood frozen. This isn't what it looks like, he said. Really? Because it looks like your ex-girlfriend is pregnant with your baby. Imani's voice broke. I need you to leave, both of you. Imani. Now, Siho. He looked at her for a long moment, something broken in his eyes, then turned to Yuna. We're leaving. After they were gone, Imani sank to the floor, wrapped her arms around her knees, and let herself break. Across town in his own penthouse, Siho stood at the window staring at Miami's skyline while Yuna poured herself a drink. You're lying, he said flatly. Am I? She smiled. I guess you'll find out in 5 months. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. She's perfect. I can see why you're so attached. Let's see how long she lasts. Minshok. Siho's hands tightened on his phone. His brother had sent Yuna, had orchestrated this entire thing, and now Imani was walking away just as the real danger was closing in. He had to fix this, had to prove Yuna was lying and protect Imani from whatever Minshok was planning. But first he had to survive the war that was about to consume them all. 3 days. 3 days since Imani had walked out of her apartment with Yuna's words still echoing in her ears. 3 days of ignoring Siho's calls, his texts, the flowers he'd sent to her office. 3 days of trying to convince herself she'd made the right choice walking away. She hadn't expected it to hurt this much. Imani sat in her apartment staring at her phone, at the 17 missed calls from Siho, and felt her resolve cracking. Maybe she should at least hear him out. Maybe there was an explanation that made sense. Before she could talk herself out of it, someone knocked on her door. She looked through the peephole. Damilar. What are you doing here? She asked, opening the door. We need to talk. It's about Siho. His expression was urgent. Can I come in? She hesitated, then stepped aside. Damilar walked in, turned to face her. I made a mistake, getting you involved with the FBI investigation. I thought I was protecting you, but I put you in more danger. What are you talking about? Minshok knows about you now. Knows you matter to Siho. He's put a price on your head, Imani. $500,000 to whoever brings him, proof you're dead. Her blood went cold. You're lying. I wish I was. He pulled out his phone, showed her a screenshot, a message on some dark web forum, her photo, her address, the bounty amount. Imani's hands started shaking. When did this go up? 2 hours ago. The FBI is stretched thin. They can't protect you properly. But I can. Damilar stepped closer. Come with me, somewhere safe, just until we can neutralize the threat. I need to call Siho. No. If you contact him, Minshok will track it. We'll know where you are. Damilar's voice was gentle but firm. Imani, I know you don't trust me right now, but I've never stopped caring about you. Let me do this. Let me keep you safe. Every instinct told her something was wrong, but the photo on his phone was real. The threat was real. Okay, she heard herself say, but just for a few days, until this blows over. Of course, just a few days. She grabbed her essentials, followed him down to his car. They drove in silence toward Homestead, away from the city, toward the industrial areas on Miami's outskirts. Where are we going? She asked. A safe house. FBI uses it for witness protection sometimes. But when they pulled up to an abandoned warehouse, Imani knew she'd made a terrible mistake. Damilar! He was already out of the car, opening her door, his expression apologetic but determined. I'm sorry, Imani, I really am, but I need leverage over Siho, and you're the only thing he cares about more than his empire. You're working with Minso. I'm working for myself. He led her inside the warehouse into a small room with a cot and a single light bulb. The FBI operation went rogue. My handlers cut me loose when they found out I was too close to you, too compromised. So I made a deal with Minso instead. I give him Siho, he gives me enough money to disappear and start over. And me? You're the bait that draws Siho out. Damilar's voice was genuinely sad. I never wanted it to be like this. I loved you, Imani. Part of me still does. But I love freedom more. He left her locked in the room. Across town, Siho sat in his office staring at DNA test results that confirmed what he already knew. Yuna had lied. The baby couldn't possibly be his. The timeline didn't match. The preliminary paternity screening showed 0% probability, and more importantly, his investigator had just sent him photos of Yuna meeting with Minso. Bank transfers, emails planning the entire scheme. His brother had orchestrated everything. Siho grabbed his keys, the evidence, his phone. He needed to show Imani, needed to make this right. But when he called, her phone went straight to voicemail. When he went to her apartment, she wasn't there. When he called her office, they said she'd left hours ago with a friend. The bad feeling that had been crawling up his spine exploded into full panic. His phone rang. Yuna. What? He answered coldly. I'm sorry. Her voice was shaking, terrified. Siho, I'm so sorry. He made me do it. Said he'd kill my sister if I didn't play along. But I can't. I can't let him hurt anyone else. He has Imani. Damilar took her, and Minso is planning something terrible, and Where? I don't know exactly, but I heard them mention Homestead, the industrial district. That's all I know, I swear. The line went dead. Siho was already moving, making calls as he ran to his car. His security team, his contacts in Miami PD, everyone who owed him favors. And then, against every instinct, he called the FBI. This is Beck Siho, he said when the agent assigned to his case answered. I'm ready to make a deal. Full testimony against my brother in exchange for protection for Imani Oforiwa. But I need it now. She's been taken and I have maybe 3 hours before he kills her. What are you offering? Everything. Bank accounts, shell companies, corrupt officials on his payroll, security footage of deals that will put him away for life. Every piece of evidence you need to dismantle his entire operation. Siho's voice was steel. But I need her location first. No, sir. We'll see what we can do. You have 1 hour, Siho said flatly. After that, I'm going in alone and I won't care who gets hurt in the crossfire. He hung up, then made another call, this one to his lawyer. I need you to file paperwork immediately. Crescent Equity Holdings is being dissolved. All assets liquidated. Every gray area deal canceled. I want it done publicly, announced on every business channel. I want the world to know I'm out. Siho, are you sure? Do it, now. 53 minutes later, his phone rang. The FBI. We have a location, but you need to stand down and let us handle this. Tell me where she is. Siho, tell me where she is, or I start making calls that will destroy your entire investigation. I have dirt on half the people you're trying to protect. Don't test me. A pause, then an address. Siho assembled his team and drove toward Homestead like the devil himself was chasing them. Inside the warehouse, Imani had found something Damalaire had missed. A phone, old, probably left by whoever had used this space before. It still had battery. No service, but it could record. She hit record and started talking, her voice shaking. Siho, if you're hearing this, I need you to know something. I love you completely, stupidly, against every bit of common sense I have. I love you and I don't regret choosing you, even if it ends badly. Tears streamed down her face. Damalaire isn't protecting me. He lied. He's working with Min Sok. They made a deal. Min Sok gets me. Damalaire gets something in return. I don't know what. They're using me as bait to draw you out and Her voice broke. I should have answered your calls. Should have let you explain about Yuna. Should have trusted that what we had was real. Because it was real, wasn't it? Please tell me I didn't imagine it. She heard footsteps, quickly hid the phone in her bra, wiped her tears. Damalaire opened the door. Time to go. Min Sok wants to meet his bargaining chip. They drove to an industrial park, pulled up to a shipping container where Min Sok waited with armed men surrounding him. FBI vehicles were already there, agents positioned but not moving. Damalaire pulled her out of the car, kept a gun pressed to her side. Insurance, he muttered, in case things go sideways. Min Sok smiled when he saw her. Imani Oforiwa, the woman who made my brother stupid enough to fall in love. Let's see if you're worth all this trouble. Before she could respond, more cars screeched into the parking lot. Siho emerged from the lead vehicle, unarmed, hands visible. Let her go, Min Sok, he called out. This is between us. No, little brother. This is about teaching you a lesson. Min Sok grabbed Imani from Damalaire, pressed his gun to her temple. You don't get to walk away. You don't get to go legitimate and abandon everything we built together. You don't get to choose her over family. You stopped being family when you killed Taehyung. Taehyung was weak, just like you're being weak now. Min Sok's finger moved to the trigger. Last chance. Take back everything you gave to the FBI or she dies. I can't, Siho said, and his voice broke. It's already done. The evidence is already in the system, but I'll give you something better. Me. Trade. Me for her. Siho, no, Imani's voice was desperate. It's a good offer, Min Sok mused, but I think I'd rather just kill you both. Start fresh without the liability of a brother who's lost his nerve. Damalaire raised his gun, finally choosing a side. He aimed at Min Sok, but his hands were shaking, his judgment compromised. 3 years of playing both sides catching up to him all at once. The shot went wide. Min Sok returned fire instantly, hitting Damalaire in the shoulder. Damalaire went down. Then Min Sok turned his gun on Siho. And Imani, brave, foolish Imani, threw herself forward. The bullet hit her center mass. She went down hard, blood spreading across her shirt in a crimson bloom. Siho caught her before she hit the ground, his hands immediately pressing against the wound. No, 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 his voice shattered. Imani, stay with me. Stay with me, baby. Please. Around them, chaos erupted. FBI agents swarming Min Sok, gunfire, shouting, but all Siho could hear was the wet, labored sound of Imani's breathing. Her eyes found his, already starting to glaze. I love you, she whispered. I recorded, in my bra, phone. Tell you everything. Don't you dare say goodbye. Tears streamed down his face, his hands soaked in her blood. You're going to be fine. Ambulance is coming. You're going to be fine. Siho, she coughed, blood on her lips. Not your fault. Imani, please. Her hand lifted weakly to touch his face. Burn it down, she whispered. Like you promised. Then her eyes closed. Her hand fell, her chest stopped moving. Imani! Siho was screaming now, shaking her, pressing harder on the wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. No, you don't get to leave me, Imani! Paramedics were pulling him away, working on her, shouting medical terms he couldn't process. Someone was dragging him back, his security team, the FBI. He didn't know, didn't care. All he could see was Imani's blood on his hands. All he could hear was the flat line of the heart monitor. All he knew was that if she died, he would burn the entire world to ash. Everything went black. Beeping. That was the first thing Siho heard, the steady, rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor. His eyes flew open. Hospital room. Sterile white walls, fluorescent lights, and there, in the bed beside him, Imani. Pale, bandaged, but breathing. Alive. He was on his feet instantly, crossing to her bedside, his hand finding hers. Her fingers were warm. Her chest rose and fell steadily. The monitor showed a heartbeat that was weak but there. "She's stable," a voice said from the doorway. A doctor, exhausted looking. The bullet missed her heart by 2 centimeters. She lost a lot of blood, needed emergency surgery, but she's going to make it. Siho couldn't speak, could barely breathe. He just held Imani's hand and tried not to fall apart completely. "How long has she been out?" 2 weeks. Medically induced coma while her body healed. "We're bringing her out of it now. She should wake up within the next few hours." 2 weeks. Siho had been living in this hospital for 2 weeks, refusing to leave, barely eating, watching her breathe and praying to gods he didn't believe in that she'd open her eyes. "Thank you," he managed. The doctor nodded and left. Siho pulled a chair close to her bed, never letting go of her hand, and he waited. 3 hours later, her fingers twitched in his. Then her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. "Siho?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here." He stood, leaned over her, his free hand gently cupping her face. "I'm right here, baby. You're okay. You're going to be okay." "What happened?" "You took a bullet meant for me. You scared me half to death. And then you survived because you're the strongest person I've ever met." His voice broke. "Don't ever do that again." A weak smile crossed her lips. "Can't promise that." "Imani, did they get him?" "Min Sok." "Yes, FBI arrested him. He's awaiting trial. Damilera survived too. Turned state's evidence in exchange for a reduced sentence." Siho's jaw tightened. "They're both going to prison for a long time? And you?" "I made a deal. Full immunity in exchange for testimony and complete cooperation. But that's not the important part," he sat on the edge of her bed carefully. "While you were sleeping, I dismantled everything. Crescent Equity Holdings is gone. Every gray area deal canceled. Every questionable asset liquidated. I'm completely out, Imani. Legitimate, legal, clean." Her eyes widened. "Your entire empire meant nothing without you." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "I told you I'd burn this city down for you. I meant it. I burned down my whole world because none of it matters if you're not in it." Tears filled her eyes. "Siho, I have something I need to ask you." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. "I know the timing is terrible. I know you're in a hospital bed recovering from nearly dying, but I can't wait another second." He opened the box. A diamond ring, simple and elegant, caught the fluorescent light. "You burned down my world, Imani. Let me build a new one with you. Marry me. Not because of the danger or the drama or any of this insanity, but because I love you more than I've ever loved anything, and I want to spend the rest of my life proving it." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, yes, you impossible man. Yes." He slipped the ring on her finger, then kissed her with a gentleness that contradicted everything he was. When they broke apart, both were smiling through tears. "We're going to have a very strange marriage," Imani said. "The best kind." She recovered slowly over the next 2 weeks. Physical therapy, learning to walk without the wound pulling, regaining her strength. Siho never left her side, sleeping in the chair beside her bed, bringing her food she could actually stomach, reading to her when she couldn't sleep. On the day she was finally discharged, they returned to his penthouse. It felt different now, lighter somehow, despite everything that had happened. Imani was standing by the windows looking out at Miami when someone knocked on the door. Siho checked the security camera, and his expression went dark. "Stay here." But Imani followed him anyway. He opened the door to find Yuna standing there, looking desperate and furious all at once. "You ruined everything," she spat at Siho. "Min Seok was supposed to pay me, was supposed to set me up for life. Now he's in prison and I have nothing." "You should leave," Siho said coldly. "Not until you give me what you owe me." "I don't owe you anything." Yuna's hand moved to her purse. Siho saw it, started to react, but Imani was faster. She stepped in front of Siho, her voice sharp and commanding. "Don't even think about it." Yuna froze, surprised. "You made your choice when you took money to destroy something real," Imani continued, moving closer. "You chose greed over integrity, and now you're going to walk away with nothing, just like you deserve." "You think you're so special," Yuna sneered. "You think he'll stay with you? He's a criminal, Imani. He'll always be a criminal." "He was a criminal," Imani corrected. "Now he's just mine. And if you ever come near him again, if you ever threaten what we have, I will make sure you regret it in ways that have nothing to do with money or violence. I'll destroy your reputation so thoroughly, you won't be able to get a job cleaning toilets. Am I clear?" Yuna stared at her, shocked by the steel in her voice. "Get out," Imani said quietly. Yuna left without another word. Siho stared at Imani with something like awe. That was necessary. She turned to him, winced slightly from the movement. "I'm done being the damsel in distress. From now on, we protect each other. I can live with that." They had 3 weeks of peace before everything exploded again. Siho got the call at 2 a.m. Betrayal had escaped FBI custody during a transfer, was in the wind, and according to intercepted communications, he was headed to Miami. "He's coming for me," Imani said when Siho told her. "He's coming for both of us. Revenge for his deal falling apart." Siho was already making calls, mobilizing his old security team. "But this time we're ready." The tip came 2 days later. Betrayal had been spotted at the port of Miami, trying to arrange passage out of the country. Siho and Imani went together, despite his protests. She was armed, trained by his security team over the past weeks, and absolutely refusing to stay behind. "We're partners," she'd said. "That means we face this together." They found Betrayal in a shipping yard, surrounded by containers and the smell of salt water. He had a gun, looked desperate and cornered. "You ruined my life," he said when he saw them. "You ruined your own life," Imani replied. "The moment you chose to use me as a bargaining chip. I loved you. No, you loved the idea of me, of us. But you never actually saw me as a person. Just as something to possess or trade." She stepped closer, fearless. "That's not love, Betrayal. That's ownership." "And him?" Betrayal gestured at Siho with the gun. "What does he see you as?" "His equal," Siho said quietly. "Someone who makes me better. Someone worth changing my entire life for." "How touching." Betrayal raised the gun. What happened next happened fast. Betrayal fired at Siho. Imani moved, returned fire, hit Betrayal's shoulder. He dropped his weapon. Siho was already moving, tackling him to the ground while FBI agents swarmed the area. It was over in seconds. Imani stood there, gun still raised, breathing hard, and realized something. She wasn't scared anymore. Wasn't the woman who'd walked into that auction house months ago hoping for a simple job. She was someone new, someone stronger, someone who'd chosen danger and love and had survived both. 6 months later, Imani stood in her apartment in Accra, looking out at the city sprawling beneath her. Behind her, Siho emerged from the bedroom, still half asleep, tattooed and gorgeous in the morning light. "Come back to bed," he murmured, wrapping his arms around her waist, pulling her against him. "Can't. We have that meeting with the Repatriation Foundation in 2 hours. We have time." His lips found her neck, and she felt that familiar heat curl through her belly. Their new business, Heritage Reconnections, specialized in legitimately recovering and returning stolen cultural artifacts to their countries of origin. It was thriving, with offices in both Miami and Accra. They split their time between the two cities, building something real and legal and good. "You're insatiable," she said, but she was already turning in his arms. "Only for you." They'd gotten married 3 months ago in a small ceremony on a beach in Ghana, her mother crying happy tears, his few remaining friends from his old life watching him pledge forever to a woman who changed everything. No pregnancy, no traditional ending, just them, building a life together, one day at a time. Imani's hand moved to her stomach unconsciously. Well, maybe there would be a baby, someday, when they were ready, but that wasn't what defined them. What defined them was this, the heat between them that hadn't dimmed even slightly. The way he looked at her like she hung the moon. The way she challenged him to be better every single day. I love you, she said against his lips. I love you more. Not possible. He proved her wrong by kissing her until they both forgot about the meeting entirely. Lovies, thank you so much for watching this journey with us. Between two worlds, beyond all borders, we promised you a tearjerker, a heartbreaker, a game changer, and we hope we delivered. Drop a comment and tell us your favorite moment from Imani and Siho's story. Were you Team Imani from the start? Did you gasp when Yuna showed up? Did you cry when she took that bullet? Let us know where you're watching from. Miami, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, Houston, or anywhere else in the world. Your support means everything to us. Later that evening, they stood in their Miami penthouse, the same floor-to-ceiling windows that had witnessed so much of their story. Imani stood in front of Siho, his hands on her waist, just like in the very beginning. But everything was different now. Remember when you taught me to shoot on the rooftop? She asked. I remember every second I've spent with you. She turned in his arms, looked up at him. You burned it all down for me. Your empire, your old life, everything. And I'd do it again. His eyes held hers with that same devastating intensity that had hooked her from the start. Every single time, Imani. I'd choose you. Good. She pulled him down, kissed him with all the passion and promise of their complicated, beautiful, impossible love. Because you're stuck with me now. Best decision I ever made. They kissed as the Miami sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. Two people from different worlds who'd found something worth fighting for in each other. And somewhere in the city below, life went on. But for Imani and Siho, this was their happily ever after. Not perfect, not easy, but absolutely, completely theirs.